On this week's episode of Premier Preps, we have a rematch of last year's D1 section baseball final. Plus, we've got 4 softball teams that could be competing well into the end of the school year. And I'll introduce you to Union Mine wrestler Brock Buak, whose run to the state championships was fueled by the memory of his late mentor and coach. You're watching Premier Preps. Welcome to Premier Preps. I am your host, Nick Pecoraro. Thank you so much for tuning in with us here once again. Quick reminder that you can subscribe to this channel here on YouTube so that you don't miss out on any future episodes, game highlights, feature stories, and everything else that we've got going on here. And the best part is that it's totally free to subscribe on YouTube, so what are you waiting for? We're going to start this week's show on the diamond with a whopper of a non-league showdown in the early part of 2024. Franklin and Whitney both met in the Sac-Joaquin Section Division I championship game last year, with the Wildcats of Franklin hoisting the blue banner when it was all said and done. So Whitney had this game circled on its calendar for quite some time, and it was finally here Tuesday in Elk Grove. That's right, the last 2 Sac-Joaquin Section Division I champions, Whitney, looking for some get-back after a loss to Franklin in last year's finals. We'll pick things up in the second inning. Dylan Wood on the hill. Josh Mendoza grounds it past a diving Dylan Minity, but second baseman Cole Toby has his back. Great backup and a good cover by Wood to get the out. Meanwhile, Whitney's starter Corden Petty was dealing. The future Texas Longhorn strikes out the side in the bottom of the second. But the Franklin defense was on point on Tuesday. Third baseman Kyle Pott with the quick exchange to get Bryce Ferris for the first out of the third. But later in the inning, a 2-out rally is ignited by Jax Gimenez. The future Oregon Duck sprays it down the left field line for a stand-up double. And then the next batter, Trajan Rogowski, comes back up the middle and brings Gimenez home for the first run of the game. But the Wildcats of Rockland weren't finished in the third. The next batter, Luke Euler, dumps one into shallow right. Rogowski scores, and Whitney leads 2-0 after 3. So Euler drives in a run at the plate and then goes back to short and comes up with a pretty play on the run, losing his hat, but keeping his cool. We go to the bottom of the 5th now. Franklin still looking for its first hit of the game, and Connor Blackburn is the guy to deliver. Connor also threw 2 hitless innings out of the pen on Tuesday, but with 5 innings of 1-hit ball and 7 strikeouts, Corden Petty was in mid-season form. Franklin with a little something cooking in the 6th now. Jordy Lopez on second for Dylan Minity. He was hitting the ball hard all afternoon. This one drives home Lopez from second, and it's now 2-1. 2 batters later, the bags are full for Jason Somera, but Whitney reliever Brady Estes gets the check swing dribbler. Petty handles it at first. Whitney holds on for a 2-1 win and gets a little payback for that finals loss last year.
I mean, it feels good to come back. I know they know what we got as well, so just coming out with confidence, knowing that they're going to hit the ball. Trust my team behind me, just doing all the proper stuff right. Just really lets us understand that we can beat teams like this when we hit the ball well and just play good D, so yeah.
Well, speaking of championship programs, if you look to the softball field at Sheldon High School, you'll see plenty of section banners to go around. Legendary head coach Mary Jo Truesdale likes to give out marbles to each of her team members after big wins in hopes of playing for all the marbles in the postseason. The Huskies would have a tough challenge in front of them Monday afternoon against Laguna Creek. I'm all about these afternoon softball games, especially when it's two good teams like Laguna Creek and Sheldon going at it. Here we go, top one, a runner in scoring position for the Cardinals, but Sheldon sophomore Quincy Brown able to get out of an early jam with a pair of punch-outs in the first. In the bottom half, Jasa Crable gets a 1-2-3 inning for the Cards. We were scoreless through 2.5, but in the bottom of the third, Huskies have runners on for leadoff hitter Madison Chapman. Her teammates call her Squirt. She shoots a liner into left. That'll score Mason Landseedle and Natalia Aguilar. Chapman into third with a triple, but the throw gets away from third base, and Squirt hustles in to score, and just like that, it's 3-0 Huskies. Quincy Brown continues to hold up her end of the bargain in the circle with a shutdown inning. K-Dog had 9 Ks on Monday. Bottom four now, freshman cleanup hitter Grace Harding goes right back up the middle for a leadoff single, and that sparks another rally for the Huskies. 3 batters later, Reina Ozuna drops one into right center to score Kayla Leone and make it 5-0. Same inning, bases juiced with 1 out for Madison Chapman. That's right, Squirt comes through again with an RBI double. 2 for 3 with 4 RBIs goes Squirt on Monday, and Sheldon leads 8-0 after 4. Top 5 though, Laguna Creek trying to get something going. Jasmine Johnson goes up the middle for the Cards' first hit, and she hustles over to third base after the misplay in the outfield, and Laguna Creek is in business. A walk puts runners on first and third now for Ella Lovato. The freshman comes through with an RBI knock and gets the Redbirds on the board. But that was all the damage that would be done against Quincy Brown as she gets the game-ending ground ball to Squirt Chapman. Huskies win. Chapman says it means a little something to put on that Sheldon uniform.
It's always been a dream of mine. I live in the neighborhood. I've dreamed about playing for Sheldon softball since I was little, and just being here and getting to play the game I love, it's a really awesome feeling.
Death is never something that's easy to deal with, especially when somebody you love and admire passes at such a young age. But then there's Brock Buak of Union Mine High School, who has turned the death of his beloved coach and mentor into fuel that has carried him to new heights on the mat. Union Mine Junior Brock Buak is trying to do his part to try to elevate his school's wrestling program.
He has become a real dream in the wrestling room, and at matches, and being a real team leader this year, keeping the program elevated, and actually got to some new heights this year.
But it wasn't until he began wrestling at Union Mine, under the tutelage of a special coach and mentor, that Brock began believing in his full potential.
Before high school, I took wrestling somewhat serious, but when I joined high school and I was wrestling with Sean Tao and everything, he talked to me about elevating my game and kind of shifting gears, so to say.
Sean Tao was arguably the first great athlete in the short history of Union Mine High School. A 3-time league MVP in football with more than 5,700 career rushing yards, Tao went on to become a national collegiate champion at Southern Oregon. But he also had a solid career on the mat, and later became the Diamondbacks' head wrestling coach.
He was a 3-time league champ. I believe he won divisionals twice, and he made it to state 3 times. Just with everything he did when he was a wrestler here, back when he wrestled in high school, everything he did was to be the best. So I definitely believe that's why he had a mission to elevate Union Mine Wrestling.
It was Coach Tao in particular who had a profound impact on Brock's development and confidence as a wrestler.
He wanted to see me grow not just in wrestling, but as a person overall. He wanted me to be a good leader, a good teammate, and a good friend on and off the mat. He talked about when it was drilling, it wasn't just drilling the move till you get it right, it was drill it till you can't get it wrong. It definitely helped me to now, to where I'm on the mat, I feel more relaxed and more comfortable, and everything just flows better. My freshman year, he asked me what I wanted to do, and I told him I would love to be go to state and maybe be a state champion. And so we were talking about taking it step by step, and we had a goal since the beginning to go to state, at least qualify for state in the beginning.
But sadly, Brock would have to travel his path to the state championships without his beloved mentor. Coach Tao passed away last June due to complications with pancreatitis at just 28 years old.
When I heard about it, I was there was a lot of emotions, definitely very sad and depressed. I just realizing that one of my mentors, someone that's helping me, is no longer going to be physically there on the journey. And from last year, coming up 2 wins away from state, definitely made me just a little bit more regretful and upset, you know, not being able to do what we set out to do together. The last time I got to talk to him face to face was at our end of the year banquet last year. And the last thing he said was, "This kid's going to state."
Brock also made it to Masters this year, won by 3, and he's going to state next year, so be ready.
I really made sure after what I heard when he passed away to not let that last thing he said, at least with me and him, be a lie. So I definitely made my mission this year not to do it just for me, but do it for him as well.
Driven by the belief of his late mentor, Brock trained harder than ever before, vowing to ensure Coach Tao's words didn't ring hollow.
Since he passed, it's definitely been a lot of motivation. Every time I'm in the wrestling room and I feel like I'm tired, I was sore, didn't want to feeling lazy, didn't want to run, definitely helped motivate me.
He wanted to make good on his promise to coach about getting to state this year, and he took the necessary steps to do it, training hard and just making sure that he was involved and taking care of his own business. So he handled what he needed to handle.
Brock ran through the sectional tournament with 5 pins in the 138 weight class, and with a pin in the 5th place match at the Masters tournament, Brock fulfilled his commitment to becoming a state qualifier, a goal he and Coach Tao set in motion together.
Oh, it was just surreal. It was a bunch of different emotions. I was happy. It was definitely made me feel grateful, just knowing that everything I put into it finally came true. I was a little upset though, realizing that I was able to achieve the goal me and Tao set, but he wasn't able to be there physically to see it. I know he was there spiritually.
And if there were anything Brock could say now to Coach Tao,
I would tell him we did it. It would be very short and sweet, but the actions speak everything that I would want to say. It's just, we did it.
From Union Mine High School, I'm Nick Pecoraro, and this is Premier Preps. Well, Brock went 1-2 at the state meet in Bakersfield this year and did his school incredibly proud. Here's where you can follow him on Instagram if you'd like. He's got 1 more year left to get back to state and try to get up on that podium. I know he's going to be training harder than ever with Coach Tao on his mind and in his heart, and we wish Brock the best of luck with his training in the next year. Well, while there are no state championships in softball just yet, both of these next 2 teams have reached the NorCal playoffs over the last 2 years. Vista Del Lago and Ponderosa hooking up at Folsom Lake College on Monday night. Past 2 D3 section champions, Ponderosa and Vista Del Lago, in an early season showdown at Folsom Lake College Monday night. We start right in the top of the first. Charlize Kai in the circle for Vista, but Molly McFarland gets things going for Pondo with a leadoff single. She works her way around the bags and ends up scoring on a passed ball, and just like that, the Bruins have a 1-0 lead. And then Pondo ace Chase Mueller goes to work in the bottom half, showing off her reflexes right here, snaring the comebacker and getting the out. Pondo threatening again in the second, but this time Charlize Kai able to get out of trouble. This is one of 9 strikeouts on Monday for Charlize. Chase Mueller getting some help defensively in the third. Taylor Dre, this ball might have been out at Vista's home field, but here at Folsom Lake, Brooklyn Nordquist runs it down. A great grab, but Vista sparks a 2-out rally. They load the bases for Riley Dawsey, and Riley proceeds to rake. An opposite field triple clears the bags, and the Eagles take a 3-1 lead. And the very next batter, Gianna Davis, comes through. Pondo was a strike away from getting out of the inning unscathed, but Vista ends up with a 4 spot in the 3rd. Bottom 4 now, Kamira Stevens rockets a double. Someone might want to check to see if that left field fence is okay. Stevens came around to score to make it 5-1 Vista. And then in the 6th, 1 out for Peyton Huber, who was hitless in her previous 2 games, but now she might want to lay low for a little while because she's probably wanted for murder. Peyton absolutely destroys this ball. Vista wins 6-1, and here's Charlize Kai on what a win against a good team like this does for Vista moving forward.
It kind of just lets us know that we're able to do this and that we have the ability and we're good enough to compete with all these teams. You know, there's really good teams in this whole section area, so I think we just got to keep working and keep doing what we're doing because obviously it's now working.
Hey, you didn't think we were done, did you? We've still got one more game to go on the diamond. The Folsom Bulldogs play in the Sierra Foothill League, so you know they're never going to back down from any challenge. They welcomed the McClatchy Lions, who are off to a hot start at 5-0 Friday in Folsom. We're starting to hit that springtime weather, especially on a beautiful Friday afternoon in Folsom. We picked things up in the top of the 1st. Luke Williams on the hill for Folsom, but sophomore Ari Silva goes the other way for a 1-out knock, trying to get something going for McClatchy early on, but the Bulldog defense came to play. The tailor-made 6-4-3 double play, Ben Bowers to Logan Mattioli to Alex Reed gets Williams out of the 1st unharmed. Jackson Halverson on the bump for the Lions, and he's getting some defensive help from right fielder Charlie Rios. Charlie Hustle laying out and keeping the 3rd base runner put. Folsom would score, however, on an error to make it 1-0 after 1. McClatchy brought the leather on Friday as well. Here's smooth glove Jacob Lyons touching the bag at 2nd and firing to 1st for the inning-ending double play. McClatchy threatening in the 4th with runners on 2nd and 3rd, but Luke Williams gets out of the jam. Luke grinded through 4+ innings for the Bulldogs, and McClatchy with runners on again in the 5th. Now, why are we showing you a bunt? That's Ari Silva, perhaps the Lions' best hitter, giving up his at-bat with 2 runners on to move him over to 2nd and 3rd, and it would pay off because the next batter, Austin Ayton, hits a grounder that might have been a double play, but instead it's an RBI ground out, and we're all tied up at 1. And then the next batter, Jackson Halverson, comes through with an RBI single, helping his own cause and giving the Lions a 2-1 lead in the 5th. Folsom trying to answer in the bottom half. Ducks on the pond for Logan Hutton, and Logan comes through with an RBI double. That scores Jacob Noel from 2nd, and this game is tied at 2 apiece. Hutton went 2 for 3 on Friday, and in the same inning, 2 batters later, a wild pitch gets away from McClatchy, but the throwing error at 3rd allows Ben Bowers to score, and Folsom is back in front 3-2. Last chance for McClatchy in the 7th. The Lions trying to get the tying run into scoring position, but Folsom catcher Jacob Clapper says, Folsom wins 3-2 and hands McClatchy its 1st loss of the season.
We didn't stop trying. We just kept in it. We got down. It was a close game. We didn't play our best, but you know we finished at the end of the game.
Well, that's going to do it for another episode of Premier Preps. Thank you for watching. Thanks again to Brock Buak of Union Mine High School for sharing his incredible story with us this week. If you have a story like Brock's that you would like to share on this show, please feel free to hit me up. My email is coming up right at the end of this segment here, so be on the lookout for that. And another quick reminder, you can always subscribe to Premier Preps with Nick Pecoraro on YouTube. Let's build this thing together. Until next week, I'm Nick Pecoraro. This is Premier Preps. Thanks for watching.